Hello everyone and welcome back to Noia Dev, the series that aims to prove that one developer can create a successful MMO RPG. My name is Dane, and this week on Noia Dev we're talking about unforeseen consequences. So last devlog I pushed Noia into the next dimension, literally taking Noia from a 2D game to a 3D game, or at least 2.5D, took a lot of work. Now, over the last 2 weeks, I've converted 2 maps over to this new style, the Underworld map and the town, Tinsdale. If converting the forest to 3D was the prototype, then converting the Underworld and Tinsdale was working out how to accomplish mass production. I mentioned last devlog that I was using this free tool called Pro Builder to create these walls. In the forest map, I was creating these individual quads and placing them around in these raised areas, and well, that worked okay for the forest map. It doesn't have that many wall faces, but the Underworld is a different story. So I got to learn how UVs work in Pro Builder. Actually, I didn't learn anything. Like most things, I simply clicked a bunch of random buttons and it eventually worked. I found that simply by setting the pivot point to lower right, all of the front-facing walls snapped to a pretty decent look, and I had to play with these little 3 checkboxes for the side walls, but eventually they all started looking good too. Other than that, the workflow for creating walls was as simple as drag a line, click snap to grid, click extrude, rinse and repeat around the entire map. I added a few custom pieces of code to the Pro Builder tool to help with snapping the mesh vertices to whole numbers and to help angle the walls to the 70-degree tilt. That's about it. Once all the wall is placed, I would go back, select the bottom lines, and then with a click of my little custom function, it would automatically angle all the front-facing sections. After that, I would select each wall face, fix the UVs, and done. Once I got this workflow down, creating a map-sized wall only took about an hour or so. Now, like I said, the forest didn't have that many faces, and the Underworld had plenty of faces, but only 2 real elevations. Tinsdale really put this workflow through its paces. This was like my own personal boss battle. Just final test. Plenty of wall faces, numerous elevations, and houses. Working on converting Tinsdale to 3D revealed a few issues with this new perspective. You're all gonna get a peek behind the curtain here, so all of you will now be like me, cursed with knowledge you can't unsee. This new look is created by pushing the angle of the character to 50 degrees, as well as angling the camera from 0 to 30. But the walls were angled at 70, and buildings are angled at 90. So when the player walks up to them, their head passes through. So you might be asking yourself, why all the different angles? Well, I have a few potentially stupid reasons. The player and monster angles being the same just makes sense. All living creatures will be 50 degrees. Now you'd think I would want to make the angle of the player and the angle of the camera the same, but there's a reason that I don't. Anything less than 50 degrees on the player isn't enough. It doesn't look like it's standing up, and anything more than 30 degrees on the camera cuts off too much. The lower angle the camera has, the less the players can see below them. Pushing the camera to 50 degrees cuts off a sizable chunk of the view range, and that's not really good for Noia's combat. The player needs to be able to see a good amount all around them. And then there's the problem with the walls. You'd think the walls should be 50 degrees, same as the player, right? A wall and a person should be parallel angles. Nope, it looks bad. So the walls are set to 70 degrees. They look vertical-ish, but the most important thing is I can still use the same tile textures as before. The problem is now, since the player is a shallower angle than the wall, we get this clipping issue. And this issue only gets worse when it comes to houses. I have to use 90-degree angles with the houses, otherwise the sidewall textures will look all wonky when they try and connect to the front-facing textures at an angle. So 90 degrees. The only way I know to solve this clipping issue is to stop the player before their head gets to the wall. I'm not exactly happy with this solution. The only other way that I can think of to solve this would be to render the buildings under the player sprites at all times. That comes with its own set of problems. For now, this works. And if you have a better solution, let me know down in the comments. And that's it for this week. This devlog's a little shorter than usual, mainly because, well, it's the holidays and I don't have a whole lot of time to edit. So Things to look forward to in the next devlog. Mr. Fox has delivered one of the bosses for the Deep Forest map, and there's another one in the works on the Discord. So I'm gonna get to work on some boss attacks and stuff like that. So look forward to that. All that being said, I gotta get back to work. So I'll see you next time. Bye.